Boy, this New Zealand team, it just doesn't go down, does it? You have to get every single one of them if you want to beat them into submission. What's happened is quite the turnaround in this innings. At one stage, Pakistan in a sea of green at Edgbaston had New Zealand rattled at 4 for 46. Then Kane Williamson went with half the over still left at 83 for 5. Yet, Colin de Grandhomme and Jimmy Neesham have put together a record partnership of 132 for New Zealand in World Cups, and they've managed to therefore take the Kiwis to 237 for 6 after Kane Williamson won the toss and decided he wants to have a bat first. Jimmy Neesham with by some distance his highest ODI score, an unbeaten 97, unlucky to not get to 100. Shaheen Afridi was sensational in the first part, but that seems a long way back now. Pakistan have some work to do. They need to get 238 to keep their World Cup campaign alive and in their hands. On ESPN Cricinfo for Matchday UK 2019, what should make for a fascinating halftime show. Murali Kartik is here as well as Mike Hussey. We'll hear from Dan Vettori and Misbah in just a bit. Murali Kartik, 237. Which dressing room would be the happier at this point?
I think going into this halftime break, they would be happy that they restricted them to 237. Having said that, at one stage it looked as if the kind of start, it was a proper storm. It was not even a calm, and then came the calm. I think New Zealand would be happy. I think that's where they would be right now, because at one stage I don't think they look like they would be playing the 50 overs, and then to get to 237, I think they'll be pretty happy. But having said that, even Pakistan would be happy that they didn't, given the start of the day, if somebody had said that you're going to restrict New Zealand to 237,
yeah,
Pakistan
this
would be
is what
happy.
always fascinates me. If you tell the team at the start, you'll have 237 to chase, they'd say, all right, we'd take it. And then you find yourself at 4 for 46. Williamson gets out 5 for 83. You think, we shouldn't be chasing more than 150 to 100. So I don't know which psyche a team takes back into the dressing room, and how do you sort of focus on one and not the other?
Yeah, it's difficult. You've got to take the positive psyche. That's all you can do. You can say, yeah, we would have taken that at the start of the day. Let's go with it. I really enjoyed that 50 overs. I think that we saw some top quality cricket from both teams. I thought the Pakistan bowling early was absolutely outstanding. Shaheen Afridi, he was unbelievably good today.
Yeah.
I thought Shadab Khan bowled really well as well. The leg spinner got some turn, which will certainly please New Zealand as well. And then the rearguard action from Jimmy Neesham, Colin de Grandhomme, that was an outstanding partnership for New Zealand under enormous pressure. I got the feeling it was quite a difficult pitch to bat on, particularly early, but maybe as that ball got a little bit softer, it got a little bit more placid. So both teams might be happy with that as well. I think New Zealand will be looking to take early wickets as well, but it's not going to be easy. I think it's going to be a very nervous chase for Pakistan.
What I'm getting from both your opening comments is neither of you are sure either.
Exactly.
And I think that's just the tone of it. We're not sure what sort of score this is until we've actually seen how Pakistan bat and how New Zealand bowl. I'll take the New Zealand angle first and go to Dan Vettori and ask him if he's happy with 237, because it again seems like that sort of score, Dan, we're not quite sure how good it is until we see the second team bat as well.
I think that's what makes these sorts of scores so appealing, and I think so far in the tournament, when these totals have been made, right back to when New Zealand played Bangladesh, it was sort of dismissed. 250, that's an easy chase, but you see how difficult it can be. You can see how difficult a good team can put pressure on another team. So I think New Zealand, having experienced a couple of these games, will be content, particularly from where they were, and they'll know within themselves how they're going to have to bowl and how they're going to have to attack to put that Pakistan top order under pressure. So, look, I think we're going to sit back and have a great game. I think it's going to be very close and very tight, and in a lot of ways, because New Zealand finished so strong with that partnership with the Grandhomme and Neesham, and given them so much more than they possibly expected after being 4 for 40 odd, I think they'll walk out into the middle pretty happy and pretty confident.
I know there are questions that will continue on New Zealand's top order, and we've discussed that to death in the pre-show, Dan, but this is turning out to be a mighty impressive display by New Zealand's middle order. I thought their all-rounders were more on to add balance to that team, but the responsibility with which Colin de Grandhomme's played last game and this game, Jimmy Neesham, is that the best you've seen him bat?
I think so. Let's not forget Neesham's always been a batsman. I think he views himself as a batsman. That's how he grew up, and the bowling just came along with it as he got taller and bigger, and he was able to add that to his game. So I think in his mind, Neesham sees himself as a batsman, and I think he probably relishes an opportunity like he had today, where he actually had a chance to get in. We know he's a big hitter, but he is a batsman when required, and Couple that with the Grandhomme, who still has that ability to hit the ball at any stage out of the park, to take on that responsibility and that leadership. It really bodes well for those pressure situations as the tournament goes on and on.
Well, I can't wait to hear from Jimmy Neesham on Twitter. You'd think he'd be all over this if the result goes as well, even otherwise, because he's put together a mighty impressive innings. Let's go to the other angle now. Misbah, 237. Now, is that an opportunity he lost or slipped from Pakistan to get closer, or would you still be happy to chase 238?
I think if you just talk about 237 chasing at the start, Pakistan would have just taken that happily. But looking at the pitch, the way it played, I mean, early on, the way ball was seaming, and extraordinary spell by Shaheen Afridi. I think the control he shown today and disciplined bowling, put the ball in the right area, took 3 wickets, put New Zealand under a lot of pressure, and from there onwards, after taking first 5 wickets, Pakistan would be really disappointed that they managed to score 237. Pakistan would be disappointed, I think, after getting 5 wickets, chasing 238. I think New Zealand played really well after just losing 5 wickets, a wonderful partnership. But I personally think that Pakistan just missed the trick, because when New Zealand toured Pakistan and UAE, Grandhomme was just having absolutely no clue what's happening with the leg spin bowling, and he wasn't able to pick that. He was just trapped leg before so many times, don't know which line to play when the ball just pitched straight to him. But I think early on we bowled him, especially Shadab Khan would have just taken him. It was a little bit short, it was just a little bit wide also, and he could not just bowl him wicket to wicket right at the start. And then Jimmy Neesham, obviously, we know whenever he just came to UAE, he struggled against Hafiz, and he was in trouble. And I thought Hafiz should have been used for all 10 overs against Jimmy Neesham, the way he was going, because he struggles against him, and that would have been a best chance of getting these two out at that stage. But overall, I think good fight back by New Zealand, and obviously they had a chance now, because the kind of wicket it was early on, first 20 overs, very important, whether it's seam bowling, whether it's spin bowling, harder ball, pronounced seam. I think there was much in the pitch in the first 15 to 20 overs, and that's now the question for Pakistan, how we just play those 20 overs. If we can preserve wickets, if we don't lose early wickets in the first 15 to 20 overs, I think later on it became easier to bat. So it is going to test Pakistan.
All right, I'm going to come back to you, Misbah, time permitting, because I would want to know more from you on that spell from Shaheen Afridi, where there have been questions, some which you've brought up legitimately too, about his place in the team. But you mentioned that series in the UAE. I don't think there would have been as many Pakistan supporters in the UAE as we might have seen today in what's a bitterly cold Edgbaston, and Birmingham's very own Melinda Farrell is bracing that hostile weather for us. Take us through it, Mel, and what it was like inside that sea of green at Edgbaston earlier today.
Am I shivering because of the atmosphere, or am I shivering because it's freezing? You will never ever know, but the atmosphere was absolutely incredible. When Amir took that wicket with his first ball, the whole place just erupted. I mean, I guess you always have to put India-Pakistan matches, and I've done several of those, in a separate category. But the atmosphere here, where it must be 99.9% Pakistan fans, was just out of this world. And what I loved is that, you know, we've heard crowds shouting Amir, Amir before, but that soon turned around and all you could hear was 20,000 people or more just yelling Shaheen, Shaheen. The chant was just huge, and the excitement just pumped up to another level. It really, really was something. And you know, they're a pretty smart crowd here as well. They weren't just into the atmosphere. When when Pakistan managed to get both Ross Taylor and Kane Williamson back in the sheds with only 83 runs off the board, that the excitement went up another notch as well, because particularly when Kane Williamson went, you just thought they felt that was going to be it, and they were going to see a spectacular collapse. It did calm the crowd down a little bit. You know, Jimmy Neesham, the Twitter Don, is used to batting down the trolls with his wit. Well, he batted down the crowd with his grit on this occasion, along with Colin de Grandhomme. So it did quieten things down a little bit. Looks really tricky out there. We saw a lot of slower balls being bowled, particularly in the latter stages of that innings. It just sets up something incredible. You got the feeling that anything above 200 was going to be really tricky. It's just set up for an incredible, I think, second innings here. And believe you me, this crowd is going to ride it all the way home. And I'm just going to be I'm going to keep warm by practicing my Dil Dil Pakistan dance moves.
Well, why don't we see some of that, Mel Farrell, if Pakistan get over the line today, but get yourself into a place more comfortable. We'll get back with Melinda Farrell at the end of this game, and I assure you, if they do end up winning Pakistan, then she won't be alone at the end of the day. Let me come back to you, Misbah. The point of Shaheen Afridi's spell, you put good words to it too. There was criticism of Shaheen. He looked like a bowler without confidence. We're just looking at the areas that he bowled today and troubled the left-handers, in particular the wickets of Colin Munro and Tom Latham for him, and then the big one of Ross Taylor in the middle. We're just looking at Shaheen, and it looks like he used that good length and that good length and the short of good length a lot more than in previous games. Just thoughts on what made him different and more effective today?
Very pleased the way he just came back in this game. What we were criticizing him for, that was control and discipline, and that was his strength when he just came at international scene, especially in PSL also. He just put the ball in the right areas, and because of the high arm action, he just gets movement, not only in the air but off the seam. And what was missing during, even in the previous series and even in South Africa and the games he played in the World Cup, that he wasn't consistent enough with his lengths and lines. Today, I think that was the key for him. He put the ball in the right areas most of the times. His first spell, he was just asking the questions from batsmen almost every ball. That was right in front of off stump and fourth stump, and the length was perfect. Where it's normally challenge every ball, the batsman's defensive technique. So I think today it was wonderful to see the kind of control he bowled, and with that high arm action, and if there is something for him off the seam, I think the ball was just doing a little bit, and when it's doing a little bit, it's always difficult for batsmen. Off the seam, little movement is always difficult because it's always just going to get the edges. If it's doing much, batsmen can survive, but the length was good and the lines were good and the control was outstanding, and the way he was struggling, and from that sort of situation, for a young bowler like Shaheen Afridi, with all sort of pressure coming back that strong, it just shows that now Pakistan team, if we win today, even that hole which was in our bowling lineup is filled, and now we are just settled as an 11.
Yep.
And I thought it was a wonderful spell. All praises for Shaheen today.
Yeah, well done, Shaheen Afridi. Just goes to show the only bowler who managed to bowl not one, not two, but three maiden overs. He's going at less than 3 an over on a day when Amir and Wahab Riaz have gone at 5.5 and 6.7 themselves. Let's just have a look at Shaheen Afridi's record against New Zealand. He loves the Kiwis. Very good record against them. 12 wickets now in 4 matches. Excellent strike rate. Economy pretty good. Whether they factored that before playing him or not, we don't know. But you always end up having someone you like bowling to or batting against more than others, and Shaheen Afridi's found that in the form of New Zealand. Let's also remind you that you can catch the Hotstar Watch and Play if you'd like. Just check out Star Watch and Play, a super cool innovation that lets you invite your friends, predict every ball, chat about the match, and all in one place. And if winning the prediction isn't enough, you get to win some amazing prizes too. Let's also see what the Hotstar top comment was, and I think it was on Shaheen Afridi. It came from Samant in Bihar. Mohammad Amir had been Pakistan's only real weapon so far, but today they found Shaheen as well. Looking forward to more such fiery spells for him. It takes one spell, I guess, Murali, Kartik, for a bowler who's lacking confidence to just suddenly then be a different bowler. One spell or one day?
Oh, yeah, you can't say exactly one spell. There are times when you can come back to earth after that one spell as well. That's the way the game plays. But it's a funny game. It's a fickle game. Sometimes one shot, you get back the rhythm you want. Sure. You can't make out that, oh, just because he's had this kind of a spell today, that tomorrow is going to come and replicate it. It doesn't happen that way, especially in white ball cricket. But yeah, you definitely, I don't think he was ever out of form or whatever. I just got a feeling that he was trying too hard in that game. And over here, he just settled into a nice rhythm immediately, which just played perfectly fine with the conditions on offer today.
Yeah. It was interesting watching the coverage. Before the game, Wasim Akram went over and had a chat to him, and he said on the coverage that he was just saying to Shaheen, your length is so important. And Shaheen certainly got his length right today. Yeah. That first graphic where it showed 44% in that good area, that just built up so much pressure. There was just enough seam movement there for him. So maybe a little bit of advice from the great Wasim Akram might have just helped him a little bit today as well.
Tends to. It always tends to help. You get a little bit of advice from one of the greats who's watching you and commenting on you on the day. Well, this is set up for a fascinating chase. We're going to get comments from Huss, Kartik, Misbah and Dan on the other side of the break. Stay with us on ESPN Cricinfo Match Day. Right, we're looking forward to the chase, which needs Pakistan to get the points if they are to keep their World Cup campaign truly alive and kicking, and fate more or less in their hands. They need 238. It's not necessarily going to be easy. Let me just go quickly to Dan Vettori. Dan, when Kane Williamson nicked that little beauty of Shadab Khan, would there have been a case of him walking back and saying, gee, I wish I'd have played my leggy as well?
I think so. I think when he saw how much it spun, and I think the control that Shadab had obviously put them, made it even more impressive. But this is the bowling unit that's got them out of a couple of tricky situations and also put them in some great spots. So I think they'll be confident with their attack, but they will look to attack as much as they can with Trent bowled. I think they'll see that as the way through that Pakistan middle order.
I mean, even though we're talking about spin, there's just the one wicket that Shadab picked up. Imad Wasim only saw 3 overs. Do you see Mitch Santner playing a big role in this innings?
Yeah, I think so. I think particularly if they can dismiss those two Pakistani left-handed batsmen, Imam and Faka, if he can come in those middle stages, then I think he can play a part like he has in the previous games.
All right. Many thanks to Dan Vettori. Many thanks to Misbah. We'll get their thoughts at the end of the game. Pakistan or New Zealand, boys? Just the team. Pakistan. Pakistan. Okay, panel says Pakistan. Let's see if that happens. We'll pick up post-match chat with the boys on ESPN Cricinfo Match Day.